All right, welcome to your first explanation for our Madden simulations. And what I've done for the first season that I'm simulating, I've done half of the games already, so I went up to 8 games. And do the second half of the season and show you guys highlights, maybe a few full games as you go along. So these are all-time teams. This season, I've done some seasons previously, which gave me the inspiration to do this, and obviously had starting or the best quarterback I could think of starting all the time for each team. But this time I mix it up a little bit. For some of them it is, some of them it might not be. This debatable. But yeah, so for the Bills I put in Flutie for the season, and he really is playing well so far. A lot of close games. So a lot of fleeting magic happening. So we'll see how they do. It would be really neat to see them match up with the Titans later. We'll see if that happens. Patriots, I went with Tony Eason. We'll see how he does. So far, I find that their defense actually plays better when he's in than when Brady's in for whatever reason. Maybe it's just because Brady scores so much quicker. I'm not sure. Starting Namath. Oh wait, no, I started Kenny O'Brien for every game except for one. I put in Namath for I think 1 or 2 games, but I'm going back to Kenny O'Brien for the Jets. For the Dolphins, Marino started every game except for the last one, which they won. For whatever reason, I have to tweak Marino a bit for him to play like he should. But Greasy, I put him in, and they had probably the best game of the season against the Browns. And ironically, Greasy's throwing it to Warfield once he went in. He's throwing it to Warfield more than Marino was. Titans, Derrick Henry's almost unstoppable. I took some of the players from someone else's database and then made my own and added, but I didn't even touch Derrick Henry. Whoever made him it's just insane. He's unstoppable. So the Titans are really strong. Warren Moon is the quarterback there. Colts, first game of the season, I had Peyton Manning, and then he lost big time. Second game was um, Johnny Unitas, and then I switched to Harbaugh since then. So that's starting off 0-2. They're now 5-3 with Harbaugh. Crazy thing is, I put Harbaugh on the Colts and the Bears, and it's serious Harbaugh magic. You'll see when I show you the highlights. A lot of late comebacks, and as you know, he's called Captain Comebacks. Very interesting. Texans, obviously, Deshaun Watson. Went with Brunell for the Jaguars. Steelers this season are going with Big Ben, and so far he's doing really well. See, the Steelers defense is out of control. Obviously, a lot of great all-time players. Bengals is Ken Boomer, and they're decent. I have Icky Wood starting as a running back here. Ravens, I have Jackson. Browns, it's been Bernie the whole way, except for the last game I went with Brian Sipe, but Bernie was about 2-5, but Brian Sipe almost won. A really better game by him, and ironically, throwing way more to Ozzie Newsome than Bernie was. Bernie was throwing to Webster Slaughter a lot more than Sipe was, which is interesting. Broncos, always really good in this game. Defense, everything plays much better. I had to do some tweaks to Elway to get him to how he should play, and now he is playing the way he should. And then for the Raiders, I have Plunkett in. Really strong defense, strong team, obviously, a lot of all-time players. Fouts, I had to do some tweaking when they were 2-4 to make him play a little bit more like Fouts. Now he is. They're 4-4. Defense isn't as strong, so they score quite a bit. And the Chiefs started with Montana and then switched to Trent Green for the last few games, and they're playing much better with Trent Green. So I'm sticking with Trent Green for now. Larry Johnson's the runner for him. And then for the Cowboys, we have Roger Staubach, really strong team. Mark Rippon for the Redskins. For the Giants, I had Phil Simms in and I switched to Jeff Hostetler. See how they do. Plays a lot like Jeff Hostetler, the way I made the quarterback. Eagles was a bit of an experiment. I did previous simulation seasons for Eagles fans out there. They did win the Super Bowl. It's a really strong team. I just tried Randall Cunningham and Keith Byars in the backfield, but when I switched to Randall and Westbrook as the person in the backfield, they won big time that first game of the season. So see how they turn around. Bucks are really strong. Defense is amazing. And they have Allstott. Allstott really runs like he does in real life. Really strong. You'll see in the highlights. Went with the Manning father for Archie for the Saints. He really plays quite well. And I started with Vic, but switched to Bartkowski for the Falcons. Jamal Anderson's the running back there. Delhomme for the Panthers. Like I said, Harbaugh for the Bears. The defense is very strong. And the Vikings is a really strong team as well. A lot of great all-time players going with Randall Cunningham there. I've done previous simulations with Aaron Rodgers when they won the whole thing, so I'm just seeing how Favre would do. They're at 4-4. Lions are at have them with Goff. The Niners, previous simulations I've done Montana, and they got to the Super Bowl, but didn't win. So I got Young in, and Young is doing very well actually. And I added in John Taylor partway through the season. He plays really well as well. Dave Craig I'm using for the Seahawks. I'm more of a Dave Craig fan. I know Russell Wilson's probably got more accolades and stuff, but I enjoy watching them play with Craig. Their 4-4 defense is amazing, so they could always win. Rams are strong, really strong defense. Think about all-time players, and Kurt Warner's quarterback. Then just personal preference, I have Lomax for the Cardinals. I love Neil Lomax. They're only 1-7, but they've been very competitive in their games. Obviously, some people would argue Kurt Warner, but I just leaving Kurt Warner for the Rams. All right, so some of the highlights from the year. You got all these games. Week 1. These were some of the games that took place. This again was before I put in Randall Cunningham. Actually, I started with Wade Wilson, and they got beat up, so I switched to Randall. Lions are nice and strong now. There we go. Let's look at the rest. So here's week 2. And these were some of the results in week 2. Close game there with the Niners and the Broncos. And week 3, the results here. Week 4. All right, week 5. Week 6. Week 7 and week 8. That great game I was telling you about with the Browns and the Dolphins after I switched the quarterbacks was here. Results were pretty crazy. Greasy was 60-24 for 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, no INTs. Sipe came in 20 of 32 for 312. And the other crazy thing is the end of the game, Sipe threw an interception in the end zone on the drive to tie or take the lead, very similar to what happened with the Raiders back in the day. So I like when the simulations are an imitation of life. For whatever reason, I made Jim Brown amazing, but he doesn't run well. The defense really goes after him. I don't know why. So I find Ernest Biner runs better, so I'm going to be switching to Ernest Biner. Warfield had an amazing game once Greasy came in, which was interesting. 5 for 43. Tyreek Hill also 3 for 150. Greasy was throwing a lot of bombs that were getting there better than Marino's for whatever reason. I made Marino really strong, but anyways, we'll see how it goes. And that's a little bit of an overview of the season so far, and we're going to be going into week 9 with AFC versus AFC battles and NFC versus NFC battles. And then we'll switch to another AFC versus NFC battle. That should take us to the end of the season. Then we'll simulate the playoffs.